in the days leading into the Super Bowl, there were transitions. We knew obviously they made Brian Duker their defensive coordinator. Things with Frank Reich finally finalized. He is their offensive coordinator. It actually looked for a little bit like Greg Roman was going to be his run game coordinator, some kind of senior offensive assistant, but he got a similar role with the Giants and chose to reunite with John Harbaugh instead. Zach, you happy with the Frank Reich hire? I am. I think it's, in my quick opinion, it's just you have a professional in the room. You have somebody who knows how to run an offense, who has run an offense. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be the most creative or high-powered, but some of the issues and concerns that you have when you have a first-year coordinator where you just don't know what it's going to look like, I think with Frank you do. He knows how to talk to people. He knows how to work with people. He knows how to design a scheme and run his scheme that works. We'll see if he can make it work with the players the Jets have, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not the first one to say this, but like if you go back to last year and if Aaron Glenn had been hired and they announced Frank Reich as his offensive coordinator, I think fans would have been pretty excited about that, honestly. Yeah. So, like you said, he's a professional. He's done it. And even more than the Steve Wilkes, which I think he gets compared to in terms of like fans who are skeptical, like, oh, he's just another former head coach, like who wasn't successful recently. He had really good success for a good, decent stretch as a play caller and offensive coordinator and head coach. And so I think there's definitely reasons to be optimistic. I think there's some fair reasons to be skeptical. The lack of, he hasn't been in the NFL in a couple of years, which not being in the NFL for a couple of years is like a lifetime. Like that's not ideal. Like a lot changes over time in the NFL. His last time he had a really productive offense was like 2021-ish. So there's definitely concerns, but I like it. I think he's the perfect guy to just run the offense while Aaron Glenn tries to fix the defense. And you hope you bring in at least some stability, somebody who knows what he's doing. And I think the bar is pretty low for an offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. So if you can get this offense to even be average, league average offense, then you're the best offensive coordinator this team has had in a long time. So if he can do that, and now obviously we don't know who the quarterback's going to be. They still need to get a second receiver. They need to figure out what they're going to do with Breece Hall. But he's coming into a situation where it's a solid offensive line. You do have Garrett Wilson. You do have Mason Taylor. You have A.D. Mitchell. You have some guys. So there's stuff to work with. And so, I'm positive on the hire more than I am negative, I would say.
And the big thing, too, to remember about Frank is he was just about retired. I mean, he was done. Like, he was retired. He was done at Stanford. He was going to go do whatever he wanted to do in his time off. Played in the league, coached in the league, hang him up, and kind of go off into the sunset. Yeah, the Jets are paying him well. I think I heard like between $4 or $5 million a year is what they're paying him. But there has to be more than just that to get him to come back, because it's a significant commitment to be an offensive coordinator. It's a significant commitment to coach. You're stepping away from your family. You're giving a lot of time. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this other than just showing up and calling plays. So there has to be a want and a desire not only to just coach, but to coach the Jets. So there are things absolutely that he saw, that he liked, that he believes that he can work with. And I think it's going to be intriguing. But that big question that they do need to answer, Zach, is quarterback. And we got a couple questions on Twitter, like one from NYJ Sean T, who was talking about the veterans on the market, be that Kirk Cousins, Malik Willis, Gardner Minshew, Mitch Trubisky, Marcus Mariota, Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Howell, Kyler Murray, Mac Jones, like some of the, or Murray and Jones would be tradable, or guys who could be traded. There are going to be options there that the Jets can explore. They're going to have to bring at least one into the building. I don't necessarily know who that one is going to be, but it seems like his style, based off of the quarterbacks that he had when he was the couple years in Philly, the guys that he then brought with him to Indianapolis, he likes the dudes who are 6'4", 6'5", the guys with the cannon for the arm, the big dude in the pocket. The guy who I keep going to, who I think is probably going to be the guy because I think he can be had, and it wouldn't be particularly expensive. And it also would be a really good situation for the Jets to get a bridge in here for 1, potentially 2 years as Jacoby Brissett. I like that option a lot for the Jets. His final year with Frank, I think it was 9-8 or 8-9 as a starter. I think it was 18 touchdowns, 5 or 6 interceptions, completed over 65% of his passes. I mean, he was a competent quarterback within Frank's system. I think that one makes a lot for the Jets, makes a lot of sense for the Jets to explore. And he's one of those quarterbacks where you put him out there, he's your starter, and he's also going to keep everybody else on the offense happy because he's a competent player. Garrett Wilson's going to be fine because he's going to get his target. It's not going to be like when Brady Cook's out there or some of the other guys the Jets could explore.
Yeah, and Rich Cimini was the one who pointed this out, so credit to him. But he apparently has a close relationship with Bill Parcells, also Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, yeah.
That's like his mentor. So, yeah, I think they connected. I forget what the connection was. And so, obviously, Aaron Glenn knows Bill Parcells well. So like you have all the people in the room who would know as much as you need to about Jacoby. So, in my mind, just based on the kind of quarterbacks that have played for Frank Reich, like you said, I kind of handicapped it to like a few guys that just like fit the mold / make sense based on his ties. And that's Jacoby, who you said, Kirk Cousins. He and Frank have a friendship from off the field, like tied to their faith. Like I think he reached out to Kirk after religious. Kirk had an injury. One that wouldn't be as exciting, but I have my eye on at the very least is Tanner McKee, because he was at Stanford previously. Frank's bringing somebody from that staff over, like a low-level assistant. But Frank is also very close to Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo, who have coached Tanner McKee the last couple of years. He's like 6'6". It's kind of like another lottery ticket type. I don't think you could only bring him in, obviously. And then Mac Jones is the other one who you and I have talked about quite a bit. He's also a big guy. I don't. The 49ers are not going to give him up. Like they're telling everybody you want to keep him. You do that to pump up the value. Like how much would the Jets be willing to trade for a guy who might not be their long-term guy? Like that'd be a question to answer. Like I don't know. Like unless you're really high on Mac Jones, I'd probably even lean towards Jacoby as like the stopgap, and you draft somebody like a Garrett Nussmeier or whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of the four that I've had my eye on. They could surprise us and go in another direction. Like this is still Aaron Glenn's team. Like if he's like, I still want a mobile quarterback, maybe they want to get Malik Willis. But I lean towards the Kirks, the Jacobys, the Mac Joneses of the world as the most likely.
I keep saying this though. If Hafley doesn't take Malik Willis with him, the Jets should just avoid him unless the Jets pay. Like just don't go anywhere near him. I tell you, it reminds me back of when Matt Flynn.
Well, a lot of people have been saying the Cardinals too, because Hackett was in Green Bay last year. And Mike, and that is kind of, and LaFleur obviously knows his brother. So, the Cardinals and Dolphins are the two most mentioned. I don't really hear the Jets getting mentioned very often.
Last one on this one, Zach, and we're going to talk a little bit about Seth Ryan. I didn't hear it directly, but Boy Green aggregated it. It was something Rich said. I think on his podcast was he quoted an Arizona Cardinals player that he was speaking to. And again, this is Rich Cimini of ESPN. And when you're quoting a player like this quote, and Rich is not somebody who's going to make anything up. And if he one of the most decorated, long-standing reporters in our field, like the fact that Rich has been doing this as long as he's been doing this, as effectively as he had, and survived the way that he's survived with the media landscape changing so much over the years with him, is a testament to who he is as a reporter. Without we're not sitting here just to glowing and gas up Rich here, but like just what I'm trying to say is like when he says something, take some pay attention. He quoted a Cardinals player who basically he was having a conversation with, and again, this is Cimini. This is not me. This is Cimini. And he said he was talking to him about quarterbacks and Jacoby, and then he brought up Kyler Murray. And this teammate of Kyler Murray's from Arizona basically said to Rich, "You guys don't want him." So the fact that like teammates of Kyler Murray's are like, "Don't touch this guy," reaffirms what I've kind of been saying, where that would be a disaster if the Jets go that route, like an absolute disaster. And I don't care if there are higher ups that want Kyler Murray because it would be quote unquote exciting in its name power. The Jets they cannot do that. Do not go the Kyler Murray route. It's funny. I actually did an interview in Arizona radio after Mike LaFleur was hired, and I was talking to one of their radio guys, and they were talking about Jacoby. And I said, yeah, well, who knows? Maybe the Jets might pursue Kyler too. And both the radio hosts were like, we will drive him to the airport. So that kind of tells you how Arizona feels right now about Kyler Murray. Jets also passing game coordinator. This was actually, speaking of Cimini, he broke this for the Jets beat that doesn't break any news. Cimini broke this one. Seth Ryan, son of Rex Ryan, is going to be the Jets passing game coordinator. A little bit of an outside the box story, or outside of the box hire, I think, for the Jets, right? I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I think it's a fun one, and who knows? You have the offensive coordinator. Everyone knows that you kind of have that probably lower ceiling, but also higher basement, higher floor with Frank Wright. I think with Seth, you have more of a this could be fun,
Yeah, I mean, he's making a pretty big jump coaching wise. He's going from assistant tight ends coach to passing game coordinator, which isn't nothing. So. They clearly, Aaron Glenn obviously worked with them in Detroit from 21 through 24. The entire time he was there, Aaron Glenn worked with Seth Ryan. Obviously, the organization knows the Rex Ryan family pretty well. I know you have a story about Seth, but it's a young coach, and if you remove the Rex and Seth, Seth connection of it all, it's a young coach worth developing. The Jets haven't really found a lot of young coaches that became something more as they progressed through the coaching field. And so it's an intriguing hire in that regard. And he's been with Ben Johnson for the last few years. And there's worse coaches you can pull from than the Ben Johnson tree these days. So I'm intrigued by it. I expected that position to go to somebody with a little more experience, but it's a fun story, so I can see why they would want to do it.